Hey guys, Marty Schindler here, and today we're going to take a look at the video effects in Sony Vegas 11. So let's just pop it up right away. And yours might look a bit different than mine. I have the timeline on the bottom, and there's a way to change that. You just go to Options, Preferences, and you go to Display, and check out the checkboxes at the bottom, and you can fix that. Anyway, not that important. It doesn't matter what your setup looks like. I'm using version 11 Professional. And it looks like this. And without further ado, let's check it out. So I put in a random video clip here that I have. I'm going to get back where I was. And you can always use your arrow keys to move through this stuff a little bit easier. So, guy with saxophone, the shirt off, regular day at the office. Am I right? So, I'm just going to go down the list of all the effects in Sony Vegas that come with it. That discludes, is that a word? I don't know. It does not include the third-party plugins that you might have and probably don't. Doesn't matter though. So let's just start it off. Okay, this is all going to be in chronological order from top to bottom, or alphabetical. So if you want to look for a specific effect, you can go ahead in the video right now and find it, because I'll be talking about them and highlighting them like this. So number one, add noise. Pretty darn simple. You click these eyeballs and you drag in. Box should pop up. If it's stuck in here, you can always grab these 6 dots and drag it out. And if you can't see it at all, you can go to your view menu up here and find your video effects, or Alt 8 on your keyboard. Anyway, we have a window. You drag the slider and you add noise. Do it like this. Pretty darn simple. You can animate it using this checkbox. You can keyframe it using this. Nothing that needs to be talked about too much. Black and white, again, pretty obvious. I'm going to drag an eyeball in, and the slider controls the blend amount. Kind of obvious, nothing to really talk about. What I'm going to do here is click on the split screen view, and then you can see on the right side, that's going to be the regular video, and on the left side, it's going to be the effect that we've added. So you can just see that for yourself. And in the new versions of Vegas, what you can actually do is drag, and you can actually control which part is where the effect is on that you're viewing. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, Black Restore. What Black Restore does is if you drag it and put it there, you're not going to see anything right away, but you got to drag this, and you can see that we kind of get like a threshold. Well, it says threshold, obviously. You get a threshold, and you're controlling the blacks. And if you click on this little question mark here, you can actually read what it says. It says, use the black restore filter to compensate for irregularities, noise, that can occur near the black end of the color spectrum. Using black restore can give better results when you saving your movie to a compressed format. They didn't proofread this. When you saving... Anyway, okay. So, basically... you can adjust your blacks with this, which there's another effect coming up at the end where you can adjust your whites. Pretty simple. You can use that for masking too. It's kind of useful. Border. Pretty simple. You drag it in. You have a border. You can change it between feathered, beveled, and solid. Blurred and feathered. Basically the same thing. I call it feathered. And yeah, nothing really needs to be said. You can click animate and keyframe it. And if you want to know how to do that, I have a lot of other videos about that. So I will put a link below or annotate this so you can check that out. Alright, brightness and contrast. This one's obvious. You drag it in, you can adjust your brightness and your contrast. Can be useful for fixing up cruddy looking videos or too dark of videos sometimes. Okay, the next one, broadcast colors. Broadcast colors, if you drag it in and you look on the left side is where the effect's being applied. You can see it gives you a lot of flexibility with this. And what it is, if you were curious, it says computer monitors can display 16 million colors, while televisions display roughly 2 million. This difference means that through editing video on a computer, you can create colors that are out of range for a television's display. So basically, a lot of televisions run on NTSC instead of PAL, which they do in like Europe. I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So this basically enables you to make footage that you could put on TV if you wanted to, which I doubt you're going to be in that position, but just throwing that out there. Alright, bump map. Bump map, you drag it in, you can get a lot of cool effects on this one, really, even if they look a bit cheesy. What you can do is basically control texture and lighting of the clip, and you get a lot of flexible options here. You can, yeah, that's basically what you do. You change the height of the bump that you're getting, basically the texture. The shininess is exactly what it sounds like. Ambience, kind of like brightness in a way. All pretty obvious stuff with that. Alright, channel blend. What channel blend is, I use it for making wacky colors, more or less, is what I use it for. But what you're really doing is blending your channels together. Obviously, your color channels, like your red, your green, your blue, and your alpha. They also have the hue, saturation, I think, oh, light, yeah, it says it right here, lightness and alpha. Look at that, they have them listed right there. You don't even need to know what they mean. You can do what I do and basically just drag these up and down and make things look cool. That's basically what I do. It's pretty simple. So you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna drag this and be like, whoa, it's yellow, and drag this and be like, oh my god, it's turning red. So that's pretty cool. I'm just being honest and telling you what I use these for. Chroma blur you can use in combination with chroma keyer, and chroma keying is used for green screening, more or less. So what you would do is, if you had a green screen, you would put chroma keyer on and take this little eyedropper and click on the color you want to key out, and then you would adjust your thresholds and your blur amount. You could do, and you could also do a masking only if that's what you were trying to do, but that's a little more advanced, I would say. And you can use that in combination with the chroma blur, which if you add in right now won't do anything. But you can use it in combination with that, or color corrector secondary has an option for chroma keying. And you can adjust the blur basically to more of your liking, and it gives you a lot more flexibility with that. So it's a nice tool. Let me exit this. Anytime you want to get rid of an effect, just click this button right here, and you can get rid of it. Alrighty, color balance. Color balance is pretty basic. I like using it again. If it's a nice subtle tool if you need it to be, but it can also be like a wacky like disco thing if you want it to be. You can also adjust your highlights, your midtones, and shadow, which is nice. This is just a nice, simple color balance that's very friendly. So if that's what you're into, this is probably the one you want to use if you're not looking for anything too advanced. Alright, color corrector. Color corrector, if you just drag it in, a little more complicated. This is in version 11, by the way, so yours might look different. I know this one is a lot different than the older versions. So in this one, you can control actually the saturation, the gamma, the gain, and the offset, which is nice. I like that. You can also control the low and the mid and the high instead of the midtones, the shadows, and the highlights. So this one's nice also. I like this one. I sometimes use it if I'm in more of a hurry, and you really get that cool disco effect. Look at that. It's like a light show. The saxophone just makes it great. Anyway, that's a nice one. The 3 color ones you should probably be using, or 4, I'm sorry, would be color balance, corrector, color corrector secondary, and color curves. Curves is a great tool, I would say. It's probably the one that I like to use the most, besides secondary, which is what we're on to right now. Color corrector secondary, I'm going to drag in default, or reset to none is also the same, by the way, in case you were wondering. And what's nice about it is you can rotate the hue, and that's a nice one. That's especially nice. It's kind of a cheesy effect, but it can be useful if you use it the right way. You can adjust all the other things, saturation, gamma, gain, offset, and you have your alpha channel you get to work with, so that's nice too, especially if you're masking. As you can see, you have your invert mask and your show the mask, obviously, if that's what you're trying to do. So yeah, it's nice to work with it. And again, you get the eyedropper tool, so that's nice. You also have these options. Whoa there. You have a color wheel, so that's cool. You have the limiting options, which you have your luminance, your saturation, your hue, your HSL, basically. And this can be used for a lot of different things. I did a tutorial on a Sin City color effect that you can do with this, so you can check that tutorial out. So that's pretty cool. A lot of these are just kind of experimental things you need to mess with. Color curves. You put the color in, and oh, not the color, what am I saying? You put the effect in, whatever you want, or default, and you can basically mess with the channels, and you can see right here, we're messing with the RGB channel, and you have these little things right here where you can set, depending on what you want, you can set it all to red, or all to green, or all to blue. That's the basic one. This one right here is just brightness and contrast, as you can see. But you can get like some crazy like rainbow fish scale look. It's crazy. I don't know what I'm saying. You can also go to different channels like red. Just change the red channel. Keep in mind I do have the other channel changed, the RGB as well. You can change your green channel maybe. You know, and then you get that wacky like I don't even know what's happening. I'm afraid. So this is a really nice one, and the presets for this one actually stand out among other presets that Vegas has that aren't that great. Especially the infrared and the night can be useful, as well as the yellow tint, as well as the bright and the brights and the highlight shadows. Those are also pretty nice to use. Okay, convolution kernel. There we go. If you have a lot of presets here that are actually pretty useful. You have like a sharpened edges look, which is kind of wacky. You have find edges, which I'm sure you've seen that effect a million times on YouTube videos. Now, it's a little complicated to use, but if you click this question mark, they give a lot better of a tutorial than I do. And it tells you specifically in the columns and the rows what, more or less, what they do. So it's nice. It says use the convolution kernel effect to perform image processing by recalculating each pixel's color value, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Basically, slide these around and you can make cool stuff happen. Okay, cookie cutter. Cookie cutter, you're baking cookies, and what more do I need to say about that? Basically, you can adjust your color of the cutout if you want to. I don't know why you would want to. Black is fine, in my opinion. You can change the shape as well. You can cut away all but section or the section, which is basically just an inverting of the cookie cutter. I don't know, something like that. You can also repeat the shape like this. Kind of looks like Space Invaders. I don't know. Okay, next one. Defocus. Defocuses the video. I mean, really? It's a nice effect. It's a newer effect. It was new in 10, I believe. Someone can correct me there. I think it was new in 10, maybe 11 or 9, but I think it was 10. And it's really cool. It's actually one of... Go away. It's actually one of my more favorite effects. As you can see, you can control the iris shape as well, which is cool. If you really like heptagons or hexagons, this is your effect. You can reduce the flicker amount, and you can also change the bloom strength, which is really cool, especially if you like keyframe it to do like something like this. If you were to make like a subtle little whoa. I don't know what's happening. But you can keyframe this effect to do a really nice fade, focus in, actually, or focus out, depending on what you do. Deform. Yeah, it deforms the picture. Not too useful. I'm sure you can find a use for it, though. You people never cease to amaze me. Right. Yeah, that's enough of that one. Fill light. There's a light and it fills the video. Should be pretty obvious sounding. You can change the hue. You can change the strength of the fill and light. You can also change the bias. And keep in mind, you can also keyframe all these things that I'm saying. You can keyframe, to my knowledge, every effect on here. So, pretty cool. You can use it if you want to basically have a fill light. I don't know what else to say. But it's a nice effect. I use it sometimes. Film effects. Probably the most abused effect that I've ever seen. And by abused, I mean overdone. And by overdone, I mean like massively over embellishing a video. Like, oh, it looks really great. Look at it, guys. Look at this video. I would say, if I had one thing to say about this, I would say go easy on it. I'm telling you, like, some of these, like on hair, put it like at less than 1, I would suggest. Especially like scratches. God forbid you go anywhere above about 1 or even less than that, or like 0.5, you're going to be scared. So just go easy on this one. You can convert your video to grayscale easily, like black and white, or you can have a tint, and you can adjust the blending of the tint right here. And you can also have noise, or grain they call it. Nothing to do with wheat. I don't know. Okay, film grain, basically noise, but a little bit different because it looks more like static on a television. I think that's obviously what they were going for there. You can see that. Though it's not completely, it doesn't, it leaks through, your video leaks through, I should say. You can change if it's black and white or color, right here. Kind of an odd effect, but you know. Here we have a Gaussian blur, I believe it's pronounced. Kind of just like almost like your window or your mirror is fogged up. That sort of blur here. You can adjust your vertical or horizontal range. And you also have these channels right here if you just want to blur, say, the blue channel and the alpha channel. And you can see that actually produces kind of a cool effect if I were to play it. Oh boy, don't you love when that happens? No worries, I got this. Sorry about that. That's what I get for not having a graphics card. I'm running on onboard graphics. Okay, anyway. Where was I? Gaussian blur. Pretty basic blur. You blur stuff and it's blurry. I don't know. Okay. Glint. This is what I call the Twilight effect. If you want to be Edward Sparkle Man, adjust these slides and be sparkly. Next effect. Glow. Okay, the glow, kind of a cool effect. Essentially, you can apply it to the video and adjust the intensity slider and the suppression slider and the glow percent as well. But you want to keep that down usually, or higher than usual. Not like in the middle, it looks weird. And you basically, the color glow, it takes, okay, I don't know how to explain this. Just look what I'm doing. You pick the color and it glows that color. And everything looks scary like a 1970s cannibal movie. I don't know. Kind of a cool effect though. And you can also use it for highlighting things like this one right here. They have some effects. This looks like some Nickelodeon Goosebumps special from 1993. Anyway. Okay, next effect. Gradient map. Gradient map is a cool effect, I think. Especially, it's overdone a bit, but it's nice. You can also drag in this like night vision preset, and you have like, oh my gosh, it's night vision. Basically, it's a gradient, and if you've ever used Photoshop, I'm sure you know about gradients. And you can choose to add in, I believe, as many of these as you want. I don't know. Maybe it's just 3. No, you can do as many as you want. Oh no, 8. Okay, you can only do 8. Sorry, 8 it is. And you have increased gradient control point position number, and you can see that's basically what it's doing, is just adjusting or switching the numbers around. And I know this one's getting messy. And I drag it overexposed in. You can drag these and you'll see what effect they have on your video. I'd keep it subtle again, but it can be a really cool effect. And you can change the blending amount right here, or you can add it additionally. It's really cool, like if you wanted to make, see how it's a warm looking video, if you wanted to make it look colder, you could drag it up a little more like that. Now it looks more of like a colder day, especially if you add it. Though your whites kind of get out of control if you do that. Cool effect. I like it. Get to my seal of approval. HSL adjust, or the hue, saturation, luminance, lightness, luminance. Got it. Okay. This is a useful one, especially the preset. Oh, never mind. This isn't the one I was thinking of. Whoa. Cool. So you can add to the hue, adjust your saturation with that one. It's nothing special, really. Not the greatest effect. Doesn't get my seal of approval. Invert. You drag this in, you adjust the slider, you invert your video. That's all. Lens flare. You add a lens flare. It probably looks really cheesy unless you know what you're doing. You can keyframe it by clicking on these clocks or timers. More, they look like timers to me. You can change the color of the lens flare by dragging this around. Nothing special. And click this and delete it. And keep in mind, in Vegas 11, your event pan/crop window is your effect window essentially. So they changed that because it used to be different in the older versions. I believe they changed that in 10, but I'm not sure. Levels, this is the one I like, especially Studio RGB to Computer RGB, although you don't want to abuse that either. What am I doing? Levels? Levels is a nice effect to adjust because you do get quite a bit of flexibility, but not too much. You can select your channels you want. So you could also use that for some color effects if you wanted to, though it's not really its design purpose. It's a nice way to control contrast and brightness also, and gives you maybe the same amount of flexibility, but I like it. And simple too, as you can see. Light rays, you drag it in, you have light rays, you can drag the light source around where it's coming from. Sensitivity controls basically how strong it looks, and then you have strength, which is actually how much or how many light rays there are. I don't know how you would describe it. Basically the strength, like they say, right? You can change the color down here if you want. Pretty regular stuff. You can blend it like most effects, and you can add noise like most effects. I don't know who these noisy people are adding things, but it's weird. Anyway, there are a lot of presets here that are kind of cool, especially if you want to create like a glowing little like searchlight, like dun 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 dun. But not too useful in my eyes. Okay, turbo speed, linear blur. It's a blur. You add it. It's kind of blurry. This one you can change the direction or the angle and the amount. Pretty useful, but nothing too great. But it's a nice blur. It's a lot different than the Gaussian, as you can see, because you do have that angle control. And it can also get extremely blurry to the point where I don't know what's happening, and I'm confused. Mask generator. You can generate a mask. It's useful for masking. I don't know what else to say. You can invert that too and get that effect. And even if you don't use masking, you could use this to get some cool effects. For instance, like basically what I have going right now, if I show you the whole video. And yeah, so it's nice when you have that flexibility of going between channels, I think. I do have another video on masking, by the way, in case you were wondering what the heck I'm talking about. Median, if you drag something in and click this question mark that's probably over here, it says, this plugin is another method of blurring an image that works by replacing pixel values with the median value from the surrounding pixels. Basically, kind of smudges it into a watercolor effect, especially if you add in round max, you can definitely see that watercolor effect sort of coming in. It's kind of a cool effect, I like it. But either use it as a fade in or transition, or be subtle with it, because it's kind of hectic. Min and max, basically median, but square, not circular. Though it's a little bit different. It doesn't, well, I mean, what does it say? I don't want to be wrong, right? This filter can be used to pixelate an image or video. Cool. It works with the brightness, of the video, I do believe, which is slightly different than the last one, but it's pretty similar. So median and min-max kind of go together. Mirror is obvious. You click, you drag the angle, you can mirror your video. Whoop-de-doo. Newsprint. I said that twice. I don't know why. Probably number 2 most abused effect, because they're like, oh my god, it looks so cool. And also a warning, this effect is notorious for when you render it to look different than what it looks like when you're staring at it right now in this preview window. I'm just warning you, you might want to select your preview quality and put it on full before you render, because it will change how it looks, as you can see how I just adjusted it there. You have an offset color, black and white, and regular color, so that's kind of cool. They give you the flexibility. Monochrome is probably the most notable for, you know, newspaper and all. But kind of a cool effect, especially when you can keyframe it. And just click animate and do that. Delete it. Alright, pinch and punch. Sounds like a bad soda company. Ha! Whoa. So you can use this for a number of different methods. You can make people like look large and rotund if that's what you're into. I don't want to know. You can also do like an Alice in Wonderland like thing if you want to do, like a through a looking glass thing, like whoa. Yeah. So pretty obvious and very simple, so nothing that I need to explain too much. Pixelating, again, really simple. You drag it in, you can drag the pixel amount, and you can make it super duper blurry. And that's always great, right? It's so blurry, it's like, can't even tell what's going on. I don't know. Again, so super simple, just pixelates the video. Alright, quick blur. Quick blur is the most subtle effect in this whole darn software system, I guarantee you. They even say it is. They say, this filter is a fast convolution blur, therefore the effect is subtle. It's a very subtle blur, and I doubt you can even tell right now. I kind of can. You can see it if I'm like going, no. If you want a really subtle blur, you can use that. I don't recommend it though too much. Radial blur is almost like a light rays, but it's a little bit different, as you can tell. You can have a Gaussian type actually on this one, as you can see, and then everything all of a sudden was tan colored. But it's nice, but you can't actually, can you? Yeah, you can. You can control the source by clicking on this arrow. It used to be different in the older versions. And yeah, you can drag it around, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a neat one to keyframe if you want to. You can also make it proportional, so it looks like this. And you can drag that source around again to wherever you want it. Good if you're making like an anime crime fighting super spy robot android Dragon Ball Z movie. Here's a new one, Radial Pixelate. I don't even know if this is on 10. This might be new to just 11. I think it is. Radial Pixelate. Drag it in, just check out what it looks like. It kind of looks like someone dropped a thing of water in more water. But this is a new one. Not much to say about it. It's pretty much the same thing as the last one, but it's pixelate. It's pixels, not a blur. Though it does look like a blur if you go really far and you make it like Twilight Zone, like kind of looks like, I don't even know, an eyeball Jupiter Sauron thing. Hey, speaking of Sauron. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Computers these days, am I right? So, okay, rays. If you want to click on rays, you can add it in. I don't work too much with this one, but you have so many change. It's kind of ridiculous. It's cool though. It's a cool effect. It kind of reminds me of Tron, like a lot of different effects for rays. Again, you might want to be subtle. I'd be subtle with all your effects, to be honest, unless you're deliberately trying to make a crazy disco rock music video. Which, in that case, this is a fantastic effect for you. You can also use this for masking as well, so you can also have it just the effect if you want it, which is kind of cool if you wanted to use this as a separate track. Again, you can reduce flicker. You can change the hue sweep, actually, and the hue itself, so that's nice. You can add noise, again, for all you noisy people. You have a peak option, which kind of is the intensity, more or less, but that's also the threshold. And amount, you can see you have it like that, or you can branch out like that. I wish they had like you could drag this one around. You actually have to control the XY coordinates for this one, but it's still kind of cool. You could be like, that's useful on titles and intros, in my opinion. Saturation adjust. Well, what do you think it does? It adjusts your saturation. Need I say more? No, I do not. Okay, sepia, sepia, tomato, tomato. You can get some cool effects with that one. Just, you know, it's common as in Photoshop or any other imaging program. If you want to look like you were born in 1837, it's a great effect for you. Sharpen. It sharpens your videos. See? I would use that one really subtly also. You don't want to go all the way sharp and look like you're in a... I don't even know. Don't even know. Soft contrast is nice, especially the warm one right here. The warm vignette. If I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know. I think I am. You can change a lot of things here. You can change the range and the contrast, which is cool. It almost looks like those hipster Instagram photos that I've been seeing all the time lately, but in video form. And you also have the vignette right here. You can control the border itself or get rid of it essentially if that's what you want to do. But you can change the strength and then change the corner radius, make it more circular. You can change it, make it look like a spotlight, like oh, I don't even know what that was. Excuse me. Spherize, something like that. Almost looks like min and max, doesn't it? It's very similar to it. You can change the scaling though, which is nice. So if you want just like a little dot here, but the bad news is you do. Oh no, you can drag it. Cool. So they do let you drag it. So that's nice. Kind of looks like a drop of water. Like whoa, whoa, whoa. Nothing that really needs to be talked about too much. Stabilize. I have a whole video I just made on video stabilization, and the only difference is they took it from Tools Video, which used to be here, and then they stuck it in the video effects instead. So I will link below or tag it, and hopefully it'll be to the right. But if you want to know about stabilization, you can just type in montage goals stabilizing tutorial if you want to. It'll be the first one, hopefully. Starburst. No, not the delicious candy. Well, I hope not anyway. Basically kind of looks like bright little lights that are flashing all over the place. Again, on this one, like in Glint or in the other one, Rays, I believe. You can reduce the flicker. It's basically the same one as that, just a little bit different. You can adjust the threshold, the brilliance, which is basically how bright it is, or the strength. The radius, its radius, how far it can go, or if you want it right on the peoples and everything. So yeah, nothing too exciting here. This one's a nice one to keyframe. This one doesn't have any masking sort of thing though. So there is that. You can also soften the edges, which is nice, because it can get a little out of hand. As you can see, it turns into like a sparkly Willy Wonka Wonderland Tim Burton movie. Oh, if it was more dark. Stereoscopic 3D adjust. I would, most of you, about 99% of you, will not have any use for this unless you're using, if you're into 3D, and I don't mean fake 3D, I mean 3D, like real 3D. If you read what they say about it, you have this whole giant paragraph that talks about it. And they're like, use the 3D glasses in combination with viewing the output without the glasses to create good alignment and depth settings. Kind of confusing. But not impossible. It says, for example, when shooting with parallel axis cameras, do you have a parallel axis camera? No, you probably don't. Well, you might, I don't know. All of the action is usually in front of the screen, and you need to use horizontal image translation to push most of it behind the screen. So my advice is, if you know what you're doing, use this effect. As you can see, I'm just controlling the slider and it's jumping around, but most of us aren't going to have that, the need to use this. You can use it if you want it for a crop, but I don't know why you would want to do that. Swirl, you drag it in, you make swirls, it's like a game. Threshold, pretty simple. You can use this for masking as well, if you needed to, really. But as Sony Vegas says, the threshold filter is used to adjust a video so that it can be used as a mask more effectively. So there you go. By adjusting the threshold, portions of the video can be made identical, making color keying and mask generation easier. Or you can make cool effects with it. Yeah. Time code, you can add like a time code at the bottom. I've done it once, I believe. You can change it to all these different things. You can change the alignment. But too bad it doesn't give you the freedom to put it anywhere you want. But it gives you a little bit of freedom. You can change the width and the height also. The height. TV simulator. It simulates a TV. This one's also grossly overused. I'd go easy on it, especially on the vertical sync and the line sync. But more, excuse me, the more or less on, on interlacing and the aperture grill. Like, keep those down, man. I only usually use it for the phosphorescence right here. It's a cool little color effect, I think, so I use that a lot. But not a bad one. You can keyframe that one a lot, so not too complicated. Unsharp mask. Basically, you have complete control over the sharpness of your video, which is really nice. So you can drag the amount and the radius, and you can also drag the threshold. So you can get like a posterize effect from this. A posturization. I don't think that's a word or term, but you can do that. So it's kind of cool. You can also drag in negative and be awesome if you want to. I do that most of the time. or outline edges. Yeah. Wave, you drag it in, you can create waves, and it kind of looks like water, and you can keyframe it if you want to. I don't. Yeah, I don't. Though it also has phasing, like TV Simulator. So there's that. White balance, you drag it in, you can control your whites. It's like black restore, kind of, not necessarily, but if I had to pick a counterbalance, I would. You can have the amount of correction if you want to, and you also have the brightness. You can select the white color, by the way, if you want to, and adjust it that way, which is nice. So if you want to adjust your whites, this is a good one. And there you go. Legacy broadcast colors, the final effect that I could never figure out what it did. If you drag it in, click on your question mark, and again, this is exactly the same as the original broadcast colors. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is. Legacy colors, I'm not entirely sure what that means, if it's a different type of broadcasting, and they use different... Go away. And they use different color numbers that you are required. The black and the whites might be different. I'm not sure. If anyone knows, though, I'd love to know if you could tell us. Though it's not particularly useful, because I doubt any of us are creating too much TV content unless you're on like public access and have an awesome radio show or something. I don't know. You should invite me to be on that, by the way. That'd be cool. So those are all the effects in Sony Vegas that I just went through. Sorry for the long tutorial. I know you guys don't always like that, but if you do, hey, you're still here. And I'm obviously still here. And that's that. As for Montagical, we are soon more tutorials and Let's Plays as well. We have a lot more Sony Vegas and Photoshop videos coming up, and we have Let's Play Metroid and Super Ghouls and Ghosts and more Mario, and we're going to start a new game soon that you guys have been clamoring for a long time. So hopefully you'll stay tuned and stick with us. And thank you for watching this tutorial. I'm Marty Schindler.